All right, gentlemen, today I would like to talk about taxes. So this came up in our chat actually because Kevin was asking about the coronavirus stimulus package money. And so we got to talking about like when we filed our taxes and all that. And so that's sort of where I want to start this conversation, filing our taxes. I feel like that's sort of, every American's most, intimate connection to taxes, or the most like, salient on a yearly basis, April 15th, tax day, and what it means to file your taxes, and I don't know, that whole experience. But then I also, after that, want to broaden the discussion about American tax policy in general, like whether it's easy to navigate. I mean, your thoughts on its, navigability, and whether we're taxing enough. I mean, that's like a difficult question to answer. So yeah. Later on, I want to have a broader discussion about, tax policy in America. But for the beginning, I want to talk about sort of our personal experience with it. So why don't we have, Alan, why don't you start with that?
Well, I want to hear Justin talk first.
Well, no,
Let's get some structure. Let's get some structure in here.
Okay, sure. We can have Justin talk first.
Well, I'll answer your specific question, which is my personal experience filing taxes. Yeah. So I guess until recently, filing taxes was very simple for me because, I was an intern for a couple of years in college, and I made so little money, I guess, relatively, that like when I filed my taxes, I got access to free TurboTax, which is really nice, right? Because under I think it's 60K or something in annual income, you can use their full thing for free. And then if you only have one source of income, which is like a few paychecks, that's like nothing, right? It takes like 5 minutes. So I guess my first time really filing my taxes was last year. And it was still relatively simple because I only worked for half a year in 2018. Yeah, after we graduated. So not much to worry about. My retirement accounts and stuff were pretty close to zero. So I didn't really have any weird income to report. But then this past year, it was way more complicated because I was over the income limit to use the free TurboTax. So I had to go to Free Tax USA or something, the higher income limit. And then, I had to report all of this, all of my retirement accounts and investment accounts and any interest income I made and blah, blah, blah. And then I realized it's a huge pain in the ass to file your taxes. And it doesn't really make any sense. I don't know. It's
so you filed as an independent in 2018?
Yeah, I was an independent filer for the first time. Well, actually, this past year, 2019. In 2018, I was independent because then you spend more than half the year living off your parents. You're a dependent or something.
I see. When did you submit?
Yeah.
When did you file your taxes?
This year, I filed them the first week of April after I learned the coronavirus checks were going to come out. And I was like, oh shit, I want in on that. And then I didn't get it anyway. So, yeah.
I don't think you needed to, though, right? I didn't file it, and I got the checks.
Yeah, I heard you could just apply for a check if you didn't have a history of tax records. You've never filed taxes before.
So this is why I really wanted to bring up this topic. So why are people not getting the coronavirus stimulus? I feel like it was very easy for me and straightforward. And this was my first year filing as an independent. And so I'm just wondering, so Justin, what is your understood reason for why you didn't get it?
So I've spent many hours on the personal finance subreddit trying to figure this out for weeks.
Is the subreddit really the best place to be? I don't know.
Well, they have a coronavirus data thread, and it's all in one place, and Reddit is the ultimate
really
source of information. It is really good.
Ultimate source of information. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
No. Actually, it's harder to find better personal finance.
I found the IRS website to be plenty good. It's just my opinion.
Well, the IRS cannot answer the specific scenario, right?
Okay, so what was your scenario?
Is that in 2018, I filed my taxes, and I was a dependent, right?
Okay.
Dependents, one of the main conditions of these coronavirus stimulus checks is dependents do not get it at all.
Yes, understood.
So if you were dependent, okay. So then another component of these checks is that they're based on either your 2018, 2019, or 2020 tax returns, right? So
2020 tax returns are filed in 2021.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So even when you file taxes next year, if you weren't eligible the previous 2 years, you'll get the check when you file that tax return.
Okay.
So there are 3 possible years you could be eligible, and like I don't know if it's speculation or if people have like insider IRS knowledge, but basically they were saying the IRS has really only looked at the 2018 returns to determine eligibility and sent out all the checks based on that. So the 2019 return that I filed, even though it has been processed and I got my refund, it hasn't made its way into the coronavirus system. And given the delays and, they're probably understaffed and underfunded at the IRS, it won't be until next year that I get the check.
And you confirmed that the 2019 taxes were filed?
Yes, I got my refund. That was direct deposited to me. So I know they also have my bank account information, and they should have had it from last year too. So I think it's just, like they've only been looking at 2018 so far, and that explains all of it.
Okay, I guess. I mean, how does that explain how I got it then? Because I never filed my taxes. I didn't file as a dependent.
Your parents probably filed for you.
They filed me as a dependent in
Did
2018 and previous, yes. I had a conversation with my parents that like, for 2019, I'm not going to be a dependent, so you guys cannot mark me as one, right? That's like, I don't know. I mean, I had paid no attention to filing taxes because I mean, like, maybe I had like checked at some point at Rice, like whether I was making enough money for it to be taxed, and I never was. And so I just like, okay, I'll just not worry about it. My parents are like claiming me as a dependent or something. But then, in the year of 2019, I had to file as an independent. And so I was like, okay. First off, hello, Melis.
Hey, Melis.
What's up, Melis?
Hello. What's good?
What up?
He's
I don't
connecting
think
to
you heard
audio.
it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's up, Melis?
Yeah,
What up?
I guess I'm kind of late.
No, you good. Don't worry about it. So
We're glad you're here.
Yes.
No worries. We were waiting for
This is all. Yeah, I forgot you guys were trying to do it on a weekday, and
Yeah.
even at like, oh wait, actually, I guess it's not as late for some of y'all. Actually, it's still like 9:30 where you and Justin are, right?
I know. Look how dark it is in Justin's room.
I know, right?
It's fucking middle of the night.
Dude, it's like the darkness of his soul. He's probably in one of his dark room playlists right
I
now.
don't understand how they just don't turn on the lights in their apartment. I swear. They just
Well, no, Adriana loves the ceiling light, but I'm like, it's too.
Yo, he's trying to save that electricity
Reaching.
bill. I respect Justin.
No, it's actually not even that.
It's okay. You don't have
Just
to.
like,
log
Yo,
on.
you know it's that. Justin only likes to pay his electricity bill in $10 increments.
Oh my God. I gotta fill up on gas tomorrow. You know what's up.
Ooh, that windshield's getting the cleaning, huh? All right. So Melis, we're talking about taxes right now. We're talking about, I mean, it's been like a topic in the chat, so that's why I really wanted to talk about it. Specifically, because like for most of us, like either this year or last was like probably the first time that we like filed our taxes as an independent. And so I don't know. I'm curious about like what everybody's personal experience with this was. So Justin was just explaining how he filed his taxes in 2019, the 2019 taxes for the first time as an independent.
When you're saying 2019, you're saying like not the year you're filing it. You're saying the.
Oh no. So yeah, that's like, right, Justin. 2019 was the first year that you filed as an independent.
Okay, well, we should get the terminology straight.
Yeah.
When I say my 2019 tax return, that would be the taxes I filed this past April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
April 15th, 2020 is
All right.
2019 tax returns.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, just make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah. The lingo's got to be clear, right? Okay. Strangely, Justin hasn't received the coronavirus stimulus package, which I just find super odd.
I mean, I also haven't gotten it either.
Yeah, well, you
What?
also filed your taxes on like July 15th, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That explains it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to get that first. I mean, that's on Melis. It was like super easy for me. I don't know. I was like, oh shit, okay, coronavirus money. Let me get in on that. And so I was like, okay, let me file my taxes. And so I was like, all right, what do I need to do? I need to turn in a 1040 and a W-2. Fortunately, I didn't have any like investment stuff, so maybe that made things easier on their end. So yeah, I filed it it was like pretty clean for me. And then like within at least 3 to 4 weeks, maybe I like got my refund. And then like a week after that, I got my coronavirus dollars. So I'm surprised everybody else is having all these troubles because I think it's indicative of like bloat and regulations with like tax systems and all that, right? But like, I just sort of want to pinpoint what exactly the problem is here. Like, why haven't you guys gotten your money?
Well, so my experience was, we got our money before we filed our 2019 tax return. Like I had gone through the entire process, but I hadn't finished it.
Yeah.
And for 2018, I did very much what Justin did. I used TurboTax, filed for me and Kristen jointly.
Mhm.
And that was chill. But then this like 2019, I worked in like 5 or 6 different states, and I paid a lot of state income tax. And so it was like hella convoluted. And so Accenture had
because you're consulting.
Yeah. So like Accenture had like,
Yeah, that
they were
gets
like,
taxed in the state where you're working.
Yeah. So they give you some sort of adjustment that doesn't fully cover the income tax that you're losing, which is ass, right? Like let's say you lose like $250 in income tax for a pay period, and they'll give you like $200 back, but you're still losing out $50 because you're working in New Jersey or New York or something, right? So that sucked, but it's whatever. So yeah, like they had us go through E&Y this year, and they like provide that as like a paid service.
What is that?
So instead of TurboTax this year, I went through E&Y,
Okay.
and it was like really nice platform. They handled all the complex shit for me. I don't remember reporting all our different investment accounts or whatever. But yeah, so I hadn't even submitted it yet when we got our coronavirus checks.
Yeah, and so that's consistent with what Justin was saying about you filing in your 2018 taxes.
Right, because they used either your information from 2018 or 19.
Yeah.
Right. And then like I just submitted like our taxes, and then the IRS took all the money back, and I was like, okay, well, that was a nice free loan, I guess.
Took all the money back? Oh, so you owed the government money?
Yeah. First time that's ever happened. I was like, what?
Shoot.
Where's my nice bonus?
What about like, are you not withholding properly or what?
I'm not sure. I just don't know.
Yeah,
how
so
it works.
can you tell me all the forms that you filled out? Because I filled out a 1040 and I had to attach my W-2. That's what I had to do. That's all I had to do. Because like I didn't have any investment accounts or anything like that. So like
I don't even know all the forms I filled out, to be honest, because E&Y basically had a checklist. I kept uploading shit. If it was wrong, they tell me. If it was right, they were.
But it was just like an electronic thing, right? You weren't actually.
Yeah, it was. Well, and they had a really responsive chat service that were like, "Hey, dumbass, get the right form, right?"
Okay.
Yeah, and then so like for instance, New York sent me like a $30 check, and then the federal government took all of like the money back, and I was like, but it was fine.
No, that's very surprising.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd consider like I don't know, because it sounded like your process was kind of convoluted. Would you consider like actually getting a like legit advisor? I feel like depending, it might not be like too expensive, right?
Yeah, I think if I was traveling a lot and I didn't have the paid service, I probably would. But also we converted our 401k from 100% Roth to 50% Roth, like partway through the year. So I'm sure that might
means.
So like it changes the amount of your taxable income, basically, right?
Okay.
So that may have played a hand as well. It's hard to say. Not sure. Because maybe the withholding is based off the calculation that you plan on doing a certain 401k the entire year rather than switching partway through the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, but yeah, you got your Corona dollars. So that was
yeah.
That was good. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess you were also getting some, getting too much money throughout the year, apparently, right?
Yeah, apparently.
Okay. And so Melis, is this your first year filing as an independent, Melis?
Yeah, I actually forgotten. I thought I filed independently last year as well, but I misremembered. I definitely filed as dependent. Yeah, my mom claimed me last year.
Yeah. I mean, because it's like you were only working for like half the year, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the case for most of them, but I guess Alan filed as an independent.
And also, I thought I probably just like also misremembered reading when the checks would get mailed out, but I thought the checks were getting sent like even after the deadline. So I was like, oh, it's fine if I, file in July. I should still get my,
Well, they are sending the checks continuously.
Oh, so they're still sending them? Like I still have a chance of getting it?
Even if you're dead. like
Yeah.
straight up, even if you're dead.
Oh yeah, that was an issue. Yeah.
That's
But
funny.
see, like, I was like, like it was the Corona Cash that made me buy my marimba. I was like, I'm not gonna get this marimba until I get my Corona dollars. And so then I got
Wait,
it.
you're not gonna get this what?
Marimba? Wait, did I not? I haven't told you about the marimba.
No,
that I had?
let's not
Yeah,
go.
we don't need to talk
Save
about
that for another episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe another lifetime.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, it was super straightforward. So like, I don't know. I'm just curious about Justin. So like, Justin, what is your like final answer now? Like, what is the issue, and are you going to get your money?
I mean, I'm pretty confident. I don't think there's a final answer, but I'm pretty confident I'll get the money. Worst case scenario, I get it next time I file my taxes next year.
So long from now.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's already August. It'll be spring soon enough.
It's disappointing. I was going to use that money to buy a bike.
Yeah, I know, right? That's why
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, you need to get that
Bike.
money now so you can stimulate the economy
Bikes-
now. right?
Bikes are bad
That's-
investments, bro.
Yeah, no,
Look
I
at
agree.
this. Look at this.
Well,
Bikes are bad
like-
investments.
Did you guys get the paper copy? I got.
Know
the
how
paper
I got
copy
this
too.
scar?
The paper copy of what?
Like I got the Donald J. Trump personal.
Oh, the one that he
Oh my
signed?
God.
Yeah, yeah.
Yo, it all came out of his personal bank account. You guys know that? He signed
Should get a
every single
frame,
check
dude.
himself. I can't believe I got the Donald J. Trump bonus check. What a generous guy.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he put a lot of. He like jumped through a lot of hoops to get his name on that, right? Or, like,
That's
the signature on
actually
it.
hilarious. I didn't know he did that.
Yo, if that's what we like, if people are like, let's get Medicare for all, but we gotta put Trump's name on every hospital. If that's what it takes, let's do it. I'm down.
Absolutely.
I feel like,
Yeah, I wish that was the deal we could make, but that's not the deal we're making.
I think we.
Yo, someone
we
just
could
needs to
be close
float it
that
to him.
thing.
Someone just needs to float it to him.
Yeah,
We'll
dude.
go for it.
Yo, that mind control. Wait, so the next time you file your taxes, huh? Okay, can you tell me about
Yeah.
what you filed this year, Justin? You filed your 1040, 100%.
Let me just pull up the document and I'll look at it.
Yo, is this
And-
what we
and
want
then-
to talk about? Let's talk
and
about
then-
something better.
No,
Like,
and
how
then
do you
tell-
guys feel about taxes?
This is what I'm
And
curious. I thought it was super.
And then tell me your social security number while you're at it.
Okay,
Well,
so
and
it's of an
bank-
8.
your account and routing numbers.
What did you file?
Let's see.
Who's your
So I
bank
got
with?
multiple return. I have my Missouri and I have my federal.
Yeah, I'm just curious about federal.
Okay, so I filed 2 W-2s.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Why two?
Because you have two different
because I
jobs.
worked at 2
Employers.
different companies. Yeah,
You
Oh,
switched.
okay, that makes sense.
Free Tax USA.
Also, is being Adriana's bitch count as a W-2 or is that
Oh, yeah,
more
that's my
contract?
largest source of income.
All right.
Yeah, so I filed 2 W-2s. I filed some interest income from my savings account, which you're supposed to do earn interest on your savings account. You're supposed
Bro,
to
on
earn
your
that
savings
income.
account?
Wait,
That's
for real?
Like,
Well, I'm
That's just
literally
pennies,
talking. I
bro.
earned $170 and they taxed that shit.
You made
Um,
170 on your savings account?
yeah,
Dude,
that's
Ally
also,
Bank 2% interest. Well, not anymore. It's
You-
like 1.5.
You got 2%? Okay, I was
On
going
a-
to say all of 2019. That's insane.
yeah, I know. Wait, so
It's great.
say
yeah.
my savings account interest is like pennies, like dollars maybe. I
Okay,
don't
well,
remember.
go to an online bank with a high interest rate like Ally Bank. They'll give you like
Dude, Charles
1.5
Schwab had it.
back.
On a savings
Wait,
account.
what
money
was
just
it? What
savings
was the
sits-
rate? What was the rate you said? 2%?
1.5%.
And you're telling me
1
this
point-
money is liquid? Like I can take money out of my savings account immediately.
Up
put it in
to
my
6
check-
times a month. Yeah.
Up to 6 times a month. So that's.
Oh, wait, damn. I never pay, like, or take that much directly out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have a direct, like a,
You have a direct
Automatic
deposit
deposit.
to your savings.
yeah, into my savings every month.
Yeah,
So,
same.
So
free
that's
money.
fine. So that's
anyway, so you have to report that income, which,
Sure.
kind of sucks. But then I actually got a refund because money I put in my health savings account, which is tax deductible fully. So
Did you
I
max
get that
it?
money back. Of course.
Did you max? Yeah, of course you maxed it. Of course you maxed it.
Yeah.
I like
So
Yeah,
can you tell me what
yeah.
your health savings account is?
So a health savings account is like part of a high deductible healthcare plan.
Okay.
Yo, tell them.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, you get this ass health insurance, but you get this like super doubly taxed advantage
Triple tax
investment account. Or sorry, triply tax advantage investment account. It's actually the most tax advantage account you can have, right? Because you don't pay taxes on what you put into it or what you take out of it or the money it makes while it sits in there.
Wait, what can you can use the funds from it for anything?
No, you have to use them for healthcare expenses until you retire, and then you can use them
until you retire.
Your retirement. But I mean, like it's a free retirement. It's a third retirement account.
Oh, but you said it's like super high deductible.
Well, yeah. So my deductible is like $3,500 or something, and I, have basically nothing covered.
But the premiums are low, I'm guessing, right?
But yeah, the premium's dirt cheap, and I get this HSA, so I just shovel money in there every year, max it out.
Cheap
and
premiums.
Put that on your taxes and get all of it back.
Yo, Mel, check with your employer.
I'm absolutely going to look into that.
Yeah.
Yo, no, it's like beyond your 401k match. I think it's the account that you should be funding. It's insane.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Yeah, it's.
I'm not sure if it's too late for me to enroll into something like that because.
No, it's probably not too late.
I mean, you can just do it during your next enrollment period.
Yeah. I'll probably just do that.
And dude, a lot of employer plans will match up to 500 in it too.
Yeah, they do match. Yeah, so more free money. Of course, I mean. Yeah, I guess the bad health insurance hasn't come back to bite me, so it's great for now. But
well, it's good when you're young.
It helped me get refunds too on my taxes.
You know what? I'd probably want to get good health insurance because I'm like getting screwed right now.
Well, you should check how much you think things will cost. Like for instance, if your deductible's $2,000 versus $3,500, and you're only going to spend $1,900 a year, it's still worth it to get a high deductible because you're not going to get a deductible either way. Absolutely. Yeah, so just try to check how much you're going to be spending.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I guess that really is the extent of my taxes, except I had to do this again for Missouri. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I guess it wasn't real. Maybe I over-exaggerated how complicated it was, but it felt kind of stressful because I had all these like new accounts that I hadn't had to deal with before.
No, for sure. Yeah. That does sound a lot easier than mine, right? Because I literally just had a W-2. That was the only attachment to my 1040.
Yeah. So for me, it took like an hour instead of like 10 minutes, like it did before.
Yeah, mine was pretty straightforward too. I just had 2 W-2s because I don't have any investment accounts or insurance or anything.
Yeah.
You'll have the HSA though soon today. Yo, Mel, Yo, Mel, message me after this. We're gonna set you up an HSA account. It's gonna be juicy.
Doesn't it have to be through an employer? Right.
Yeah. But if you have a high deductible health plan, it's usually a feature of it.
Oh no, but I'm not like on a health plan right now, and I know I can't enroll in one.
Gotcha.
Like not until the enrollment period comes back around.
Tight.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have like a retirement account, like an IRA or a 401k, you don't have to report any earnings on that because you're not retired, right? So I guess it's not that difficult. But, I think the thing about filing your taxes, especially if it's the first time you're dealing with something, is that there's no one who's ever like told you how to deal with the U.S. tax system. Mm-hmm. Like it's unnecessarily complicated.
Right, and so you used Reddit, right? That was sort of your primary source of information.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think you could have done it without Reddit?
I mean, I think I would have paid for like TurboTax or some more advanced software to like guide me through it in a nice user interface. I didn't have like the online resources.
So what is the problem with
Oh wait, so you didn't use like a online like
I did,
one
but
of those platform things?
There are free ones. Like, so like TurboTax is free if you make under a certain amount of money, right? But their ceiling is pretty low. But there are other free ones that have a higher ceiling. So like one that everyone recommends on Reddit is Free Tax USA. Because it's like basically just as good as TurboTax. Like it's just as like easy to use and streamlined, but it's free. Yeah. So where do you go?
Yo, let's get to the juicy stuff. How does taxation make y'all feel? What is your emotional attitude toward it?
Well, I just want to hear what Osman was going to ask if he's done fixing his light. What were you going to say?
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
Oh, I've already forgotten. Sorry. I was just messing with the lights. I mean, because I was talking about like your source of information for like, figuring out your taxes, and it was Reddit. And what does everybody else use?
H&R Block.
It's H&R Block. Alan?
Reddit.
Reddit. Okay.
Well, I
You
mean,
mean like-
outside of my E&Y boys. Yeah.
Do you mean like H&R Block, the software, or do you have an actual tax advisor at an
No,
H&R
the
Block?
software. Well, I mean, I used the software this year on my own, like when I filed independently. But I mean, when I was being filed dependently under my mom, she has a advisor that she usually goes to. Yeah.
Interesting.
So like, for me, it was really easy because it was like, my taxes were super easy this year. It was just a W-2, like to just like read the 1040, look at like literally read all the items and be like, does this apply to me? Does this apply to me? And it was like, no, right? And so then I just like it's like, but here, oh, this one says W-2 and I have a W-2, so let me go get that. So like all I had to do was like read the 1040, right? And so like, I don't know. I mean, do you guys think these sort of services are necessary to really navigate the U.S. tax system, or like, I mean,
Well, I mean, the entire reason it's complicated and the IRS doesn't automatically calculate our taxes because they have the capability to, they just don't. It's because companies like TurboTax have lobbied Congress for decades to make it complicated, right? It's an intentional thing.
Okay. Like,
Interesting.
how strongly do you believe that? Is that like 100% fact to you?
It's 100% fact to me.
It's 100% fact that.
Wait, no, that phrase should not. A fact to me is not a fact. A fact is just a fact. Facts are facts. Okay. FAX facts. Okay.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's like in wavelength, there's like fact, opinion, and it's like you're saying this is like 100% fact.
Well, I just sent you guys an article.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be a fact if these companies lobbied Congress to keep guidelines more complex. Like
I don't know, what does that mean? Like, are there specific like bills where they're like, yo, pass this bill which keeps it complicated? Like, what does that mean? Like, in practice, what does that look like for these companies to like lobby the government to keep them complicated? And I mean,
it's more like, the IRS has had plans in the past to develop its own platform for like online tax preparation, and simplifying the process for people. And then TurboTax comes and lobbies a bunch of Congress people, and those proposals by the IRS are shot down. I think it's a system like that.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research and educate myself on it. But it's like, I don't know. I mean, I mean, certainly the footprint of lobbying is, I think, very easily seen when you file your taxes. Like, I thought it was strange that like one of the questions on the 1040 asked me, "Are you blind?" I mean, it's something to do with disabilities, right? Like if you're disabled, then they'll tax you a little bit differently. But I mean, why do they single out that disability, right? There's many other disabilities that people could have. And like, I guess somebody who's blind has very successfully lobbied Congress to, put this item into the 1040. And so, I mean, yeah, but my main point is that lobbying certainly plays a big part in the entire tax system.
Yeah, I mean, the entire way our taxes are set up, right, is like the government says, okay, there's a federal income tax and it's at this level for this tax bracket, et cetera. So everybody is supposed to pay that. But then every single bill that Congress passes, comes with some sort of rider or like little sentence that says, oh, we're going to add a new deduction for electric vehicles or upgrade your water heater or something. So basically you have the base tax system, which is like, people in this tax bracket pay this much on this proportion of their income, right? Yeah. And then on top of that, there are 10,000 deductions that you could take advantage of. You just have to know them, right?
Yeah.
So it's a weird system, and it's incrementally built up over the years, where you have all of these tiny weird deductions for super specific things.
Yeah.
It sounds like when programmers talk about bad code, they're like, they're just throwing shit in there to make it work.
Yeah. Which is I think at the moment, our taxes are relatively simple because since we're young, all of us, I assume, just take the standard deduction, right? Which is $10K off of our taxable income. because we know that any deductions we could get are not going to be greater than $10,000 and stuff. But like once you buy a house and you're married and have fancier things and are doing unique things with your money, suddenly those deductions become really lucrative, and that's where it gets like so complicated that you need an accountant to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you guys think you could come up with a better system, or is it as good as it gets?
Well, I mean, I don't think it has to be. It could be like other people could come up with a better system.
Okay. Well, I mean, so I don't know. What are people's overall thoughts on the system? I feel like I don't know. My impression is that it's easy to hate on, right? I mean, everybody hates doing their taxes, and it's like really complicated. You gotta have, get H&R Block to do it. And so I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? Is this something that we need to fix? Or what are your thoughts
I mean,
on,
do you want like my reformist opinion or my extreme actual opinion?
Both. I want to hear.
You have two opinions?
I was also very confused by that.
I do have two opinions.
Like, I believe in one, and the other one I hold for appearances.
I believe in one that's not achievable at all in my lifetime, and then there's another one which is probably achievable, right? The probably achievable one is
so you just have an idealistic one, right?
Yeah. Like my ideal one is that we, cut down on the number of and variety of deductions and simplify the tax system so that the IRS does most of the calculation of your taxes, which they have the capability to do, right? Like the IRS, you report your income to them, and they can just do all the math themselves and tell you how much you owe. But because of TurboTax and lobbying and all the other things that go on in Congress, the onus is put on the taxpayers to do all of that work.
Well, so some of the deductions though have to do with like, giving things to charity or being blind, right? And like
yeah. So I'm saying like an easy and often proposed way to reform it is to have the IRS do the basic calculations, which is like you made this much money at your job, therefore you owe this much in taxes.
Yeah.
Report that back to people, and they can add on whatever they want.
So like me doing like my 1040 and W-2 was too much work in your opinion? Like that should just be automatic.
Yeah, I think it would be cool if the IRS could just send you like a postcard that says, okay, we've calculated your taxes based on your income, and we think you owe this, and if you have any objections, please go to this website that's run by the government and insert your deductions, and then tell us, we'll recalculate.
What's on the postcard? Like a picture of like the White House?
A picture of Trump or something. So that's the reformist opinion, which is super mainstream, and a bunch of people say it over and over, right? My extreme opinion is that the income tax should be abolished, and we should repeal that amendment of the Constitution and just not have one at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, sure. I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, you can get in, that's a whole nother conversation. I mean, you're a Georgist, so it's like, it should only be taxing the land, right?
I mean, it's not just an opinion held by people, Georgists, right? It's, a lot of people have different reasons for wanting to repeal the income tax, but I think there are some really good ones.
Like what?
Well, I think the reason I think the income tax should be repealed. Okay, I have two reasons. Again, first is that the income tax punishes productivity, right? Like where you're taxing people's productive output. They produce things in the economy, and then we're punishing them by saying, okay, well, we're going to take some of that money just because you made a livelihood and did something productive in the economy. And I think that's bad, right? We should be taxing things that are, things that we want to disincentivize, right? We should tax pollution. We should tax the monopolization of natural resources and stuff. We shouldn't be taxing income because income is someone's livelihood, and I don't believe for a second that anyone in this country, no matter how many people say it, enjoys paying taxes.
Yeah. So then, okay, but the government.
I enjoy paying taxes.
The government.
I can say that completely honestly.
I don't believe you. I don't believe.
You don't even believe me. I will explain it a bit.
So Justin, do you agree that there should be some element of taxation?
Oh, absolutely.
And
I believe
the government needs to
taxation.
Tax its people.
Yes, I do. I just think we need to tax bad things first, right? We should be taxing carbon, and I can try and explain the entire Georgist position, but we should be taxing land values and traffic congestion, right? There should be more toll roads and more congestion pricing and stuff like that. There are so many other sources of taxation where when you do the taxing, it produces a good outcome that society benefits from. But when you tax people's incomes, it just makes people angry, and like it doesn't really engender.
I don't know.
Like,
I mean, don't you think
economy.
it would make people angry? Like, if all the roads were way more taxed, right? Like,
yeah, but the big benefit is that it disincentivizes driving, right?
Yeah.
Which, and congestion charges have been a really effective way of reducing traffic in cities like London.
Yeah. So would this be a stable form of revenue for the government? Like when you're taxing things that ultimately will get disincentivized, like I don't know. I could see those sources.
Yeah. That's where like the entire Georgist thing comes in, right? Like the entire idea of Georgism is that you can fund most of the operations of government based on the land tax, which is like basically a property tax, right? And we have property taxes now, and they produce a lot of money, even if they're relatively low. So by taxing like natural resources and land, and especially in cities, you could probably make up for a lot of like the lost income from the income tax.
Okay.
So,
I think Melis had a question.
No, Ozzy already took my question.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I was basically asking why, like, what happens when people stop doing the bad stuff, when you get tax.
Yeah. Well, also you'll get to like an equilibrium point, right? Like the people that it's worth it to will still pay to go sit in traffic, during rush hour, and then those who don't won't.
I mean, if you tax pollution, it's not possible for us to not pollute at all. So someone's going to be paying it. Some people are going to be paying it all the time, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So the question I had was, are there, like, number one, to your first point, are there countries that don't have income taxes, and do we see a subsequent increase in productivity in the workplace or in like businesses?
It's a hard question.
Well, the first question is easy.
There's probably way too many other factors.
What's up?
The first question is easy. Like, are there any other countries without an income? Are there any countries without an income tax? Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a straightforward question. So, I mean, maybe we could figure that out real quick. Are there countries?
Okay, there are a couple that don't. It looks like
tax havens.
The UAE,
Bermuda,
Kuwait,
Monaco, Bahamas, Andorra. These sound like places that like rich people go to, like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I live there.
So are any of those places
honeymoon spots?
Where I want the U.S. to be more like that.
Well, like my argument isn't that like the income tax, getting rid of the income tax by itself is going to transform our country into something like uniquely utopian, right? I just think, like where we raise, there are like so many places we can raise money, right? There are so many potential sources of taxation, and we choose to focus on the one that's the most antagonistic, I think.
Yeah, but I think the way they've done it is brilliant, right? Like having an automatic deduction from your wages, right? Like it makes you feel like the money was never yours,
Well, actually, I don't even agree with that, right? Because the real way the income tax works is that half of your income tax is paid by you off each paycheck, and the other half is paid by your company, and that's the payroll tax, right?
Yeah.
So if you really wanted to feel like it didn't cost you anything, it would be 100% payroll tax, and you would never see that little line on your paycheck that says this much was taken out for income tax.
Oh, they should do that.
Well, yeah, I know.
I don't know what you're talking about, Alan. I see that all the time. Like, this is my gross. This is how many. I get pissed off every time I see.
That's what I'm saying, dude. This form and this implementation of the tax.
Wouldn't you be more pissed off if it went into your account, and then at the end of the year, Uncle Sam was like,
but I'm still pissed off. I would absolutely.
Well, no, I mean the way it would work is that like when you applied and got a job, you would be given like an income, like your salary, right? And that would be it, right? You would never have this vision of a higher salary because you don't know what goes on behind the scenes. You don't know how much tax your company is paying on you. You just know, oh yeah, my salary is this, and nothing gets taken out.
What are your thoughts on a sales tax?
Well, I also dislike sales taxes. So I think sales taxes are regressive, especially when they're levied on like essential items like food, clothing and stuff.
They're typically not on food, right?
Yeah, I guess not. It depends on your jurisdiction. But, sales taxes are even more regressive than income taxes because the poor, have to spend some amount of their income buying things, and
and they
they're
spend the
taxed.
same amount, right?
Yeah, like the rich don't spend proportionally more on stuff, when it comes to like retail items, right? So the poor are basically spending a larger percentage of their income on sales taxes than the rich. So yeah, I think it's distortionary and like anti-progressive. Plus, sales taxes, as coronavirus has shown, are super unreliable, right? Because if sales go down or the economy declines, then suddenly the government's out of money. And it's terrible. I mean, cities across the country are like on the brink of insolvency, and like public transit systems have no money anymore, because Corona has just ruined retail and no one's selling anything anymore. Yeah.
Well, at least income is generally progressive.
Yeah, I mean, income is progressive, and it can be made more progressive. And I guess another benefit is that like it's easy to tax income, right? Like it's hard for people to like hide how much money they're making in salary from companies, right? Because there's a system there
under the table.
Yeah. Well, you guys have seen the New York Times expose where like it's so easy to manipulate property valuations on like land and buildings.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest criticism of a property tax, is that assessors are unreliable and people really game the system to undervalue their property.
Oh, I mean, I totally believe it, to have like a really sophisticated and robust system for evaluating property. I mean, I don't know. Income is a little more cut and dry.
Which is why, it's so popular around the world, I think.
Okay, so I guess like I want to dig into it. Like, why do you then, Justin and Melis, you guys have both said you hate it. Like, why do you guys hate paying taxes? Why do you hate paying back society? Explain to me that one.
Oh, I didn't say I hate paying back to society. I got no problem if my money is being used correctly to help society. I got no problem.
Okay, so is your issue with the allocation and not the amount taken, or?
I mean, I never said I really hate the system overall. I mean, I just hate seeing that money getting taken out.
I think it's the same for me.
Feels like a gut punch.
Yeah.
It just feels like a gut punch.
Yeah.
It's a bait and switch. It's like you're told, oh, you're going to make this salary, and then at the end of the year, it's a lot less than that, and that sucks, right?
That sucks.
Birth of a Republican.
And it's based on where you live, right? If you live in California, you're going to make even less than that amount than if you live in Missouri, right?
That sucks to suck.
So you always have this idea in the back of your head, oh, I could be like living somewhere more tax efficient, right? Like I could be living on, in an income tax-free state or something.
But you could also have the thought, like, I could be living in a society with like no roads and public schools.
Well, that's the thing.
That's what I was saying. I don't care if my funds are being used correctly, which I don't know. I don't pay enough attention to our tax system in general to know if it's actually being used efficiently. I mean, I don't know. Our roads and public systems are pretty trash here in Atlanta, so. I mean, they're okay. I mean, they could be a lot better.
Yeah, no, I definitely think like the way we allocate our funds and even the way we generate our funds, to Justin's point, can be improved. But I definitely see taxation as like the kind of the price to play in like a society you want to live in.
Well, so like I agree with that, right? I just think with the income tax, we're taxing the wrong thing. Like the taxes aren't just a tool for raising revenue for the government, right? They have like really significant economic effects, right? They're a tool of economic policy. You implement a tax and it changes the way the economy works. And the way we do things now is not, furthering our goals as a society when it comes to like what we could use these taxes to accomplish, right? And again, I could get into the entire Georges thing, but basically if we like tax land and natural resources and the monopolization of those things, then we could have like a huge like variety of positive economic effects, right? We could like reduce housing inequality. We could fund more transportation and other infrastructure. We could, increase access to like cities and stuff, and it would be stable and blah blah blah. There are like a lot of different types of taxes, and a lot of them have really significant benefits. But we choose to focus on the income tax, which the only benefit it really creates is like maybe reducing inequality if it's progressive enough. But otherwise, I think it just makes a lot of people angry.
I think we need to have an episode where you present on Georgism.
I guess, yeah. I don't know that y'all are that interested.
Yeah, I want to see Google Slides or some kind of PowerPoint presentation with some Excel sheets and everything,
slides.
bro.
50 slides, half the
Yeah, I can go into it in detail. It takes some time to explain. I don't want to like take up this entire conversation just explaining this obscure political philosophy. But my point is like, taxes are really powerful, and the income tax just doesn't really accomplish that much, materially, right?
Interesting. But yeah, I mean, there is, I feel like, a point to be made when we found 4 countries that don't have an income tax, and these 4 countries are generally, I mean, just by like my perception of them, they seem like tax havens, right? Oh, okay, rich people are just going to buy property there, so it seems like they live there and they don't have to pay taxes, right? So in general, though, income tax is a global thing, right? It is like almost a human thing, right? Like all these countries, all the good countries, all the bad countries, they're all doing some form of income tax.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's true that like you can't raise enough revenue to run the government without having at least 2 types of taxation.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, yeah, the income tax is preferable to the sales tax. Like if I had to rank taxes, it would be like property tax, income tax, sales tax.
Okay.
And if we're going down that list, right, we would get as much money as possible from the property tax, and then we would move on to the income tax, and that's all.
I see. Right. And then
and then you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, no, and then thinking to Justin's point about like you could always say like, oh, then you're discouraging people from owning land, but then it's like, yeah, I mean, like, do we want people to own more land? Is that helping society? Because like people trying to better themselves and earn higher salaries, like I bet it's helping society, but I don't know if hoarding land is. So
well, that's the thing. I can explain all of this in an episode if you want. But
yeah. I'd absolutely be interested.
Income tax is bullshit now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the income tax is fine for now, but we'll see what the Georgism.
Well, so I am curious. I am curious though. Like Justin, I'm assuming you know this, but what's the breakdown of like, I don't know, like the federal tax revenue, like by corporate taxes, by property taxes, by income taxes? I'm assuming it's like heavily weighted toward corporate taxes, but I have no idea.
I couldn't tell you off.
Pull that shit up, Jamie. No one watched Joe Rogan? Okay, yeah, me neither.
Nope. Okay, from 2015, income taxes make up 47% of federal tax revenue. And payroll taxes, which are just the other half of the income tax.
Did you share your screen?
Yeah. You disabled it.
There you go.
Well, after the last time when you showed us again, couldn't risk it.
Okay. Yeah. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's income taxes and payroll taxes, which are the other half of your income taxes. Then corporate taxes and miscellaneous, excise, customs, trade taxes.
Not important stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I guess over time, it hasn't really fluctuated much.
So what is a corporate income tax?
It's tax on the net income of a business, right?
I see. So
like after they do all their like accounting mumbo jumbo, they're like, this is the amount we made for this year, and
so
they apply
they will be taxed on they will have to pay the payroll and the individual income tax. Like that sort of gets taken out. Like, you know what I mean? Like they will be paying payroll taxes too. And so the corporate income tax is in addition to the payroll tax. Is this accurate?
That's what it seems like.
Yeah. So
that's interesting. So have you guys seen the amount?
Sorry, I will interrupt. They can deduct the payroll tax, I think. Looking at just this line. Taxable corporate profits are equal to a corporation's receipts less allowable deductions, including the cost of goods, wages, employee compensation, interest, most other taxes, depreciation, and advertising. But anyway.
But they still pay a payroll tax.
They do. It's just that you can use the payroll tax to lessen what the corporate tax hits.
Yes, I can
Yeah.
believe that.
Okay, so have you guys seen the breakdown of like the drivers of climate change by individuals versus corporations?
No.
Nope.
It's like ridiculously skewed toward industries, right? Like they're always trying to be like, oh, drive less, use less plastic, use more paper, yada. It doesn't compared to like what like super tankers are shipping around, or like what manufacturing costs, right? Or like what agriculture takes, right? Like our impact on the climate is like minuscule, right?
Well, I want to push back on that. I've heard this like statistic thrown around, right? I'm seeing like the infographics, but I think people forget like these corporations are producing things that we consume, right? Like when we go to Target and buy like a hunk of plastic, that the emissions that went into creating that are being credited to the corporation, but we're the ones who are creating the demand for it to be created, right? So, I don't really buy the argument that we're not responsible that much, and that corporations are doing all this big bad stuff. Because at the end of the day, corporations.
Kevin's favorite thing about America was, right? It was that like you could buy like matcha cakes from Costco because there was a demand for it.
Yeah, and but see, that's why I think like I'm not saying like, oh, Americans eating like fucking 1 million pounds of meat every year is not a problem, right? Clearly, our demand is a problem, right? I think the issue is corporations saying, oh no, you are the one that needs to change, like not us lobbying Congress to let us pollute rivers like indiscriminately, letting us like put as much carbon fuels into the air as much as we want, like I don't know. I feel like the shift of responsibility ultimately shouldn't be on individuals who don't have the power to impact politicians.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's a systemic problem. And, but I think like my preferred solution is the carbon tax, right? Like every, pound of CO2 you emit, you have to pay some amount in taxes, which is like the most efficient, the simplest solution to climate change that I can think of. But I feel like people don't realize that when you apply that to corporations, tell like all the corporations, hey, every time you emit carbon dioxide, you have to pay some money. Then all of that just gets pushed down to increase the cost of everything, right? Mm-hmm. So I think like I just feel like people think it's really convenient to say, oh, corporations are the bad ones, they're doing all this polluting, and if we just targeted them, we could solve this problem, and I don't have to do anything, right? It's the corporations, they're doing it, it's not us as individuals, but it will impact individuals as well. I feel like that's the inconvenient truth that people don't think about, is that like we're all really tied to these corporations, right? We consume things that they produce like every day. So anything that we do to them will come back to us as well. That's kind of my point.
Yeah. For me, I've always found it, I don't know, interesting or maybe odd that we always think about like these corporations sort of in the abstract, when like I feel like these corporations are made up of people like us. I mean, Melis works for Warner Media, and then Alan works for Accenture. Like, these are corporations, right? And like you generally want your corporation, your company, to be doing well, and like but then in general I feel like there's this sense to demonize corporations, and like I don't know, like Amazon is whatever, destroying small businesses, and I mean there's this talk about like corporations polluting and stuff like that. So I don't know. I've always found the discussion around corporations interesting, when I just feel like talking about corporations like that really, like in the abstract, like I think because like on a day, like corporations are just made of people like us, like making these sorts of decisions. I don't know. That's
that actually reminds me of this this time a friend of mine was like, when I was back at Coke, that there something happened where like I think Coke bought this company called what was it? I think it was like Fairlife. Mm-hmm. It was some kind of milk thing, and I think there was like some sort of something happened where like at one of the farms there was like cows being abused or some crap like that, and one of my friends was like, yo, you got to stop working with Coke, man, they're abusing cows. I was like, I don't care as long as I get my paycheck.
I think people forget that corporations are pretty immoral. They'll just do whatever makes them a profit, and sometimes it means it has a positive impact on society, and sometimes it's negative. A lot of the time it's negative. But I think the goal of our tax policy should always be to disincentivize the bad things. So when corporations pollute, we should tax that so they stop doing that.
So I will say at like one of our like huge oil and gas clients, right? The people there love fossil fuels. They don't give a fuck about the environment, right? They're like, they don't even pretend, right? They'll have mugs that say, "I heart fossil fuels." They're this close to being like, global warming, good joke, bye poor people.
Whoa.
I mean, yeah, but weird. Like, if tomorrow the value of like wind energy was 10 times the value of oil or something, then they'd switch over in an instant. Yeah. It's follow the money, bro. I guess the individual employees might have like a complex about it or something, but at the end of the day, like the corporation as a whole will just do what makes them money. Which is why like T. Boone Pickens, the famous like Texas oil dude, is like super about renewable energy now because he sees there's a ton of money.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's the thing I've thought about too, is like people like, I like to shit on people that work at oil companies or or that profit a ton off fossil fuels. But then like, you know, I've also thought like there's hippies and they're like, oh, I reduced my carbon footprint by 90% this year. And it's like, oh, well, this plant manager over at like Chevron or Shell or ExxonMobil, you know, just decreased like the amount of waste his plant produces by like, I don't know, like 50,000 tons every year. So who did more good for the environment? This guy working for an oil super major, or you going vegan? Right, that guy, clearly. But he's still demonized because he works for the giant corporation, right? So I don't know, that just got me thinking kind of weird, right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I think, you know, like it or not, we live in a corporate culture. It's a country of corporations. And, we live and die by how these corporations do, right, and what they do. So, you know, I'm like a reformist, and I think we can make corporations better by disincentivizing the bad things they do, as opposed to like demonizing them for the sake of demonizing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but one more demonization story. Do you guys remember when we would play Catan and someone would get the knight? And I think Uche started this habit. I'm pretty sure it was him. He would about to put it on someone, like Osmond. Osmond go, no, here, I'll give you a sheep. Don't put it on me. Uche, I'll go, okay. About put it on Justin. No, I'll give you a sheep. Okay. And then by the end of it, if it was like a 6-person game, he had collected 5 resources before putting the knight on someone's good resource.
Guaranteed. Pretty sure Kevin started it.
Yeah, Kevin definitely started that.
Yeah.
Kevin started that?
Guaranteed, yeah.
Okay. I just remember Uche being so egregious about it. But like, and then we remember we got to a certain point where everyone was like, "No, fuck it, no one's allowed to do it. If we all say no, like we can stop this exploited policy, right?" And everyone was like, "Okay, yeah, fine." And that was never gonna do, right? And then you know, more recently, you look at Amazon or Apple or like these tech giants going to different cities and states, and they're like, "Who will give me the most sheep to put my giant factory in your city?" And all these cities are giving them massive tax breaks, and they're like, "Oh, I'll give you more tax incentives," and like they go to the lowest bidder until they have this incredible deal, right? And I think all the cities need to do what we did in Catan and just be like, "Nah, fuck you, come if you want to come."
Lol.
I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of thoughts about that too. That could be an entire another episode. Yeah. But I think the environment is a great example of like when corporations and their like immoral like profit seeking is really bad, right? It doesn't line up with what our incentives, like what our goals are at all. And that's where the government really has to step in. You know?
Yeah. Wait, who's our goals though?
Huh?
Who's our goals? Like the U.S. government, the people, which people?
I guess the goals of me and my vision for the world.
I'd like to have your goals for like I'd like American.
Justin's goal to make the world in his vision.
Yeah. Some environmentalists or Al
Gore
or something.
I feel like if I lived in Justin's world, life would be so much better right now.
I don't know.
In his ideal world where everything works out as it's supposed to, right?
That's true, but we don't have to play City Skylines all day.
Right, guys, I'll tax you if you don't.
Justin for 2020.
No, I'd vote for Justin for sure.
In 2020,
I would just steal his ideas. I would vote for Adriana.
Of course you would.
Vote for Justin. He'll make it rain.
No drought under my administration.
All right, guys, I gotta head out pretty soon, so I want to end the episode unless anybody had some final thoughts they wanted to say.
No, I thought it was super educational.
Taxes.
Yeah,
All right. Then well, thanks.
you're welcome.
Okay, so Justin, quick question. I see